Over this past year, since we last met, right here in the nation's capital, in this hall, our great union, all of us, we've taken on some tough battles. And we've made some important strategic decisions. And we've fought back on behalf of our members on a number of fronts. We've all continued to face what many now believe is the new normal, a changed political landscape that has emerged as our nation has slowly risen out of the brutal recession that crippled the U.S. economy beginning in 2008 and only now is beginning to recover. We've experienced stagnant wages, rising health care costs, high unemployment have crippled an economic system of now turning into haves and have-nots, where the politics of the extreme and the politics of envy are gripping our legislatures and political process at every level. We're increasing campaigns by those who want to destroy our members' retirement, rights at work, right to bargain, right to collect dues through the same process that many nonprofits use, right to have your political voice heard, and the political process have continued to ramp up. They've been coming after our members' jobs, their shifts, their companies, stations closing, reduced staffing, ultimately threatening our members' ability to do their dangerous work in as safe an environment as possible. It's what we all face. That's the world we live in now. This is what too many accept as the new normal. That was a challenging environment that we were up against as we approached the elections last fall, following the nothing then less brutal election cycle of 2010. And together, we began to make our positions known to that perceived new normal and to make it clear that we would not accept it, that our profession deserved better, that those who have the authority and hold the power to enhance our members' lives or destroy them would have to answer to us at the ballot box. So this IAFF made some critical decisions. While we stuck to our political principles, spending our dollars and putting our boots on the ground for those who will work with us, and working against those who are committed to come after us, we will continue to play a strong and effective and visible role right here at the federal level, Washington, D.C., and in the federal election process. In the run-up to last November 6th, we began to adjust our tactics and target the most critical political races in battleground states. And then we concentrated our resources there, where we could make the most difference. We moved more and more of our Fire PAC dollars, a PAC that we have grown to be in the top 0.5% of all 7,400 federal PACs, any way you want to measure it, total receipts or donations to candidates out in the field, top 0.5%. We directed much of our effort and resources to campaigns at the state level, where so many of the issues that affect our members' lives are now being fought by all of you. Where there were political friends in trouble that we needed to defend, and where we identified political opportunities to replace all old enemies, we put our money on the table. Party be damned. And I'm proud to say that that strategy paid off for us. Working together, we helped win critically important and competitive United States Senate races in Massachusetts, Missouri, Virginia, Wisconsin, Ohio, Florida, Maine, Connecticut, Indiana, and North Dakota. Working together, we helped flip control of the state legislatures in our favor, in favor of workers and working families in Minnesota and Maine, and protected and picked up working-friendly majorities in a number of states, including Nevada, Oregon, Kentucky, New Mexico, Iowa, Washington, Colorado, and New Hampshire. All of us working together and investing heavily with our local and state leadership in Florida, who pulled out all the stops. They put over $3 million on the table while this IAFF added hundreds of thousands of more, and they took on the tens of millions that our opponents put up against us. They did an incredible job. We had a huge victory defeating Proposition 32, the third paycheck deception initiative we faced in California in the last 14 years. I am so proud of them, and together we beat those well-funded interests. We stopped what could have been a freight train roaring across this entire nation, and I promise you this, if need be, we'll be ready for the fight again if they come back at us in the years to come, because we will prevail again, just like we did last year. The list of political races and ballot campaigns where we made a positive difference, I could go on, and the impact of the effort we all put in was felt almost immediately upon returning our focus back here to D.C. after the elections. Well, we went to the ballot box. We brought our friends back. We got rid of a few enemies. And as lawmakers in this town who we helped re-elect went back to work in the lame duck session of Congress, we had a strong hand to play. And with the entire Congress, the media, and the country focused on cutting the federal budget and deficit, being in reality only, but the reality really being only achieving gridlock. It was your union, this union, that made significant gains on behalf of our members. No law enacted in the 112th Congress was more important for our members, professional firefighters, as the reauthorization of SAFER. That we achieved in the lame duck session. That's the program that's been saving grace for our livelihoods of tens of thousands of our members. And over the past 10 years, the SAFER program has put $103 billion out there in our communities to hire, keep employed, and fill much-needed firefighter and paramedic jobs. And for the past 4 years, the program has only worked because the IAFF was able to secure the waivers from many of the law's requirements. The reauthorization that was enacted in a lame duck December session now makes many of those waivers permanent. It simplifies the local matching requirement while also removing the salary cap. Now, they may not sound like very sexy issue to the outsiders, but those are the changes that we all needed, and we need to be very proud of what we did, because all of us working together were able to get that done. And it kept our members on the front line, and it brought thousands of our members back to work to be able to provide for their families and put their turnouts on their rigs one more time. That's the important work that we all achieved together in a lame duck session. And we were also successful in improving the FIRE Act program, significantly increasing the size of grants, with the nation's largest jurisdictions now able to receive up to $9 million per year, while we decreased the local matching requirements and changed the distribution formula. So professional and combination departments, your departments, can now receive the bulk of the grant funding. It was in that same lame duck session, thanks to Representative Earl Perlmutter of Colorado and Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, that we passed the Firefighter Fatality Reduction Act, which will examine whether fire departments are complying with national consensus safety standards, including NFPA standards for safe fire ground staffing levels, protective gear, protective equipment. Now there's a law that helps us to make sure our municipalities follow the law and keep our people safe. It's a legislative tool that we have. It really is a tool that can help us force fire departments to comply with the standards. Those are the standards that our members are entitled to, protecting them, their health, their safety, preventing injuries, improving public safety, and saving more of our members' lives. And it will demonstrate the difference in compliance between professional, unionized fire departments as opposed to those scab departments that use poorly trained, part-time, paid-on-call, volunteer hobbyists. We need more of us and less of them. We also secured an expansion of the Public Safety Officers Benefit Program with the help of Senator Pat Leahy of Vermont, expanding the definition of cardiovascular disease to now include vascular ruptures caused by aneurysms. A program that began so many years ago that now has evolved to cover our members in so many ways and to provide our families, when we lose one of our own, the financial help from their federal government that they've earned and they're entitled to. And finally, working with the bipartisan team of Democratic Senator Danny Akaka of Hawaii, a great friend of ours who just retired at the end of that lame duck, and two Utah Republicans, Senator Orrin Hatch and Representative Jason Chavez of Utah. We won the repeal of the Hatch Act. So while some of our members will remain covered by the state restrictions, municipal firefighters will no longer be barred from seeking office under federal law, and we will be able to keep even more of our own to be elected to public office, a victory that will really pay off for all of us down the road. There is nobody I'd rather rely on than one of our own to have the power and the authority and the elected branches of government to represent our interests, and this law will help put more of them there. These political and legislative victories demonstrated to us that we made some good decisions as we approached the elections last fall. We did change our tactics. And I'm not reporting all of this just to pat ourselves on the back and roll out a lot of statistics. I'm making the point that because we plan to deploy a similar strategy in the coming elections this year, we're going to be able to continue to grow on the success of 2012. In Virginia, there's a tough race for governor, and our money and our affiliates and our state body there will be playing heavily in this race for our good friend Terry McAuliffe as he runs to become the chief executive of my own home state. And in New Jersey, with the conventional wisdom suggesting that Chris Christie cannot be beat, forget about it, don't even make a try. He's going to cakewalk right into office. It's our affiliate leadership in New Jersey that's going to stand toe-to-toe with a governor that has made them the enemy, targeting our members' pensions and workplace rights. And right now, as we meet, our state leadership in Massachusetts has unified all of our affiliates there to work hard in a special election to help Congressman Steve Lynch, an iron worker, a brother in the labor movement, win the seat in the United States Senate that was vacated by our good friend John Kerry when he became Secretary of State. These are just a few of the races that is a precursor to what we're going to be facing in the fall of 2014. We're going to have 35 U.S. Senate seats that will be up for grab. And there's going to be a tough, very tough political map for a number of our friends in at least 21 of those seats, including some in very difficult states like Arkansas, Louisiana, Alaska, Montana, South Dakota, and New Hampshire. In North Carolina, though, listen to me carefully, and in Virginia, where we had two Democratic senators who we previously worked hard for, who we were out in the streets for, we spent our money on and considered them friends. And then they turned their backs on us. And they did it when we needed them for a key vote on our National Collective Bargaining Bill in the 111th Congress. Let me tell you, Senator Kay Hagan stood at this very conference, at this very podium, and told 1,000 of you that she would stand with us on cloture for our collective bargaining bill. I remember so clearly when she said, "I won't be Liz Dole. You help elect me and I'll be with you." And then when it came time to vote, she voted against us. And Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, who I've known for over 25 years, going back to the time before he was Virginia's governor, twice on that same issue, he said he'd be with us. After he failed us the first time, he said, "I apologize. I'll never do it again. I'll be with you." and he failed again. Well, sisters and brothers, there is a price to pay for double-crossing our members in this union. And I don't care what the Democratic Party thinks or what the leadership of that party may think. I don't want to hear that the alternatives will be worse. And please don't want to hear, don't cut off your nose to spite your face. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to stand by our principles. We're not going to contribute one penny. We're not going to lift one finger. We're not going to have one single ounce of resources from this IAFF out there on behalf of these two Democrats up for re-election who double-crossed us. They're going to pay the price, and we'll see how that works out at the ballot box 2014. It's going to be a tough election cycle, though. And we're going to have our hands full because we're also going to be facing 36 governors. There'll be 36 governors up for election. And then deciding where best can we play to give us the opportunity to pick up seats in states where the governors in the class of 2010, those like Kasich in Ohio, and Walker in Wisconsin, and Snyder in Michigan, LePage in Maine, and Scott in Florida, and several others, decided that they simply were going to attack our members. They were going to undermine our ability to exist. They were going to silence their political voice. They were going to financially keep us from being able to operate. They were going to do everything they could to destroy us. And now it's going to be our turn to see what we do with them. And I'll tell you what I know we're going to do. We will put our gold and black brand to work to protect states like Massachusetts, Arkansas, where our allies are termed out. We will be fighting to safeguard or flip key state legislative chambers from coast to coast. And with this new political reality, since we also know with absolute certainty that the U.S. House of Representatives, with a majority committed to blocking everything that could benefit workers, the chances right now where little and no chance for our collective bargaining bill exists, we're going to have to take all of that into account. We're going to have to triage. We're not going to be able to be every place, everywhere. But we're going to target, and we're going to invest, and we're going to make sure that we are on our game to do the most to achieve victory on behalf of our members. And while there's a little chance of considering our national collective bargaining bill in this nation's capital right now, and until we have a congressional body that is capable of considering our bargaining proposal, we are refocusing our efforts to target state and local levels. We've had meetings with our members who are now in non-collective bargaining states. We're developing a strategy to assist those that have an opportunity to move at the local and state levels, and where we have a friendly legislature or a friendly governor or a council or a mayor or an initiative measure process that we can take to the ballot box. That's what we're going to do to make sure our people have a chance to have the rights that they've been denied for far too long. With all of that as our backdrop, and in this town where they invented new words that stand for crisis, physical cliff, sequestration, and where all you hear about is making a grand bargain and finalizing a continuing resolution. Needless to say, what we're really doing is finding ourselves battling through a very tough historic time, where we find ourselves, to some degree, here in a defensive position because of the economic realities this country has been facing. Where there's a lot of loose, irresponsible talk about closing tax loopholes and cutting entitlements. So it's going to be this week for you, for us, to remind lawmakers on Capitol Hill that when they're talking about closing tax loopholes, they should be talking about closing those on the corporate executives who get a tax break on their Gulfstream 5s, not taxing your health care benefits. And when they're talking about fixing and cutting entitlements, we need to remind them that forcing all of our members, 72% of them who've been denied a place in the Social Security system since it was first initiated, forcing that in now would have fiscal catastrophic results. The cost impact on the retirement security of our members after a career of service would be devastating. And our municipal budgets across the nation would experience catastrophic requirements. We're here to make sure that they do right by our federal members, who risk their lives to protect those on the military and government installations, but who now are facing the potential of furloughs and insourcing of their jobs and pay freezes for the last several years, and all of this in the name of austerity. And by the way, we also believe that having our long-term ally, whom we weighed in heavily for to get confirmed as the current U.S. Secretary of Defense, our brothers in arms, Chuck Hagel, a soldier who knows the gravity of what it means to send troops into battle, and he also knows the gravity of what it means to commit our members on the domestic front lines, will help to make sure that our federal members who work under the auspices of the Defense Department are protected as they should be for providing service that they provide to this nation. We're here to make sure that when they talk about smaller government, those who oppose us aren't putting the public's and firefighter safety at risk by cutting funding for the fire and safer programs, or our hazmat and WMD training, and funding for our urban search and rescue in disasters. All of this is what this week is all about. And over the next 2 days, we're going to listen to the positions of those whom we helped elect and lobby everyone on the Hill who will give us an ear on Wednesday. We're going to push forward despite the state of our economy and despite the political climate that's gripping this city. And we're going to do it together. That's every single one of you in this room. Working with my partner, Tommy, and our incredible executive board who's so committed to our effort. Working with our unbelievable staff and using the power and energy of our almost 300,000 members. If we do all of that together, I believe we will win many, many more times in the battles than the ones we lose. And while it's never our job to apologize for what our members earn in return for their courageous work on the front lines, while we will never allow a cut in staffing to go unchallenged, and while we will not express a single ounce of regret for the benefits that our members have earned, that is exactly what the work of this union is all about. Nobody gave our members or you anything. Everything on this job and every benefit and salary they received, they've earned in service to their communities. And it's our job to make sure that those in the positions of authority, whose decisions can mean the difference between whether our members get what they deserve or whether they get the shaft. It's our job to make sure they know exactly where we stand. And that regardless of their political party, their status, or their position in government, they can expect to see us on the forefronts of their campaigns, sticking to our simple and very clear political philosophy, where we stand with those who will stand with us, and we will take out every one of them who takes a position that will hurt our members' future. That's the IAFF. That's you. That's the commitment that we've all made. And I am so proud to stand with you. And I'll continue to be on the front lines with you everywhere that they try to take on our members' future and interests. I'm so blessed to have been a part of this union all of these years. And I'm so blessed to be able to call each and every one of you my brother and my sister. We all come from the same place. We've all worked on that incredible job of ours. And now we've taken an oath that we're going to use every ounce of our skills to do our work on behalf of those that are paying the freight every single month. So let's continue to stick together. Let's continue our work on this cause. And let's get this important week started. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a long way to go. We've got a lot to achieve, and we're going to do it together. God bless you, and God bless all of our members on the front lines everywhere. Thank you. Thank you.